Be sure to follow us on TikTok at MysticSage1 for daily anime content.
Manga spoilers will be in this video. The League of Villains are everyone's favorite group of murderous misfits. As a recurring antagonistic force in the series, we get to know them pretty well. Many of the core members have their fans, and most have traumatic backstories. But what I want to know about today is their power. Specifically, who is the strongest. Disclaimer, I'm only looking at the core group who show up repeatedly over the series. The underlings who help out for 1 or 2 episodes are all roughly the same level of weak, so there's not a lot to say about them. I'm also discounting All For One, since he's in a whole other league, as well as Shigaraki, who's something of a special case now that he has the AFO quirk. However, the main group are fascinating in many different ways, so it's going to be fun to talk to you about each of them. Also, spoiler warning once again for stuff that happens in the manga. Some of the later plot points are important in deciding who ranks above who. Well then, with that said, let's kick off my ranking of the League of Villains. At the bottom of the list, we have Spinner. His quirk is Gecko, and much like Froppy, this allows him to cling to walls. He also has a lizard-like appearance, resembling a ninja turtle with his mask and katana. Spinner greatly admires Stain, who inspired him to become a villain, and this is reflected in both his costume and his ideology. As a result, he has stronger morals than the other members. His only power is sticking to walls though, which doesn't have a great deal of use in a fight. But he makes up for it for being a competent fighter in hand-to-hand combat. Overall, he offers decent support to the other members, even changing his mind to back Shigaraki's goals in the end. Giran isn't a fighter at all, but he's on the list as a long-term member associated with the League. His quirk, Muddiness, lets him mess with people's memories, making the previous and next 5 minutes foggy in their minds. He's a businessman who makes his money on the black market, dealing with illegal support items for unlicensed quirk users. A smooth talker, Giran is the one who introduced Toga and Dabi to Shigaraki, leading to them becoming a part of the League. He places above Spinner specifically because of his resolve and loyalty in protecting his clients. While he was being tortured by literally having his fingers cut off, he still refused to give any information about them. It shows an incredible strength of character that I think is worth a mention in this ranking. Magna has an interesting quirk in magnetism. She can magnetize people, women into North Poles and men in the South Poles, while keeping herself neutral. By carrying an enormous magnet with her, she can attract opponents to her to take them by surprise with a physical attack. Or she can repel them to get them out of the way. More than this though, she's got a sharp mind. She was able to determine which of the wild pussycats was the biggest threat, then took them out quickly. She's also physically strong, has fast reflexes, and can predict her enemy's next move. She's only at number 9 for the sheer fact that she ended up being more of a plot device to show Overhaul's power and cruelty. Number 8, Mr. Compress, is one of the smartest villains around. He was able to capture Bakugo all by himself, and when trapped in a tight corner by Best Jeanist, he used his quirk to cut off chunks of his own body so that he and his fellow villains could escape. Speaking of his quirk, Compress gives him the power to shrink down anything he wants into small marbles. He can store them or discard them depending on his needs. Most notably, he compressed Overhaul's arm in a tag team revenge strike with Shigaraki. His intelligence might have pushed him higher up the list, but his weakness is that he can't stop himself from showing off, which has caused a few issues in the past. Dr. Gariki is the man behind the Nomu. As their creator, he's obviously an incredibly intelligent man. Even more so when you remember he's the one who came up with the quirk singularity theory. And on top of that, he has the technology to replicate people's quirks and pass them on, much like All For One itself. He used this to give All For One, the person, a copy of All For One, the quirk, so he could pass the original to Shigaraki. Gariki is literally an evil genius. He's played an enormous role in this story, but he's not a fighter. His quirk is even just a copy of his original one, Life Force, which now belongs to All For One. Its only effect is to reduce aging. As you might expect from his name, Muscular has immense strength. His muscle augmentation quirk means he can buff himself up by growing his muscles outside of his own skin. It's a little horrifying, but the result is a villain with physical power to match One For All. He takes 6th place on sheer strength alone, being capable of holding off Deku for a long time, even when he was using One For All at an incredibly high power level. Muscular is also sadistic and cruel, with his biggest motive for joining the League is just the fact that he wants to be allowed to kill people. After all, he's the one who killed Kota's parents, simply because they wanted to stop him. He's overconfident and not very smart though, and that's ultimately his downfall. Warp Gate is an incredibly useful quirk for the League to be able to make use of. Kurogiri can transport the villains anywhere they want to go, as long as he knows the coordinates or exact location, which is great for taking their foes by surprise. In order to use his quirk well, Kurogiri needs an agile mind and excellent coordination. Most importantly, he can ensure that the League can make a quick escape when they need to. He's one of the most level-headed in the group, but as a Nomu, he doesn't have the driving force and destructive desire of many of the other members. Twice's power lies both in his quirk and his loyalty. He's able to produce clones of anything with his quirk, Double, and they can even replicate the quirks of other people. This means that he can essentially make an infinite army of himself. His own clones have their own autonomy and can therefore make clones of themselves, and so on into infinity. If he wants to make doubles of something, he can, but the second clone will be weaker than the first. Once he realizes that he himself is not a clone, he does manage to create an army of Twice doubles, an ability that is thought to be potentially one of the strongest in the series. An ability that is thought to be potentially one of the strongest in the entire series. Twice is also very loyal to the League, something that ultimately ends up costing him his own life. Underrated, ridiculously powerful villain, wonderful character, and still dead. Sorry. As All For One's bodyguard and the inspiration for the Nomu, this guy has 7 quirks in total. His original was Endurance, which probably plays a part in him being able to take the strain of the other quirks, without having to undergo any kind of surgery. He has enhanced speed, strength, endurance, and stamina, as well as being immune to pain, while also having a dog-like sense of smell and sight, and a quirk that lets him grow claws to dig through the ground. He's like 5 villains rolled into one, but what holds him back is his obedience. He serves All For One above anything else, and later, Shigaraki, so he doesn't have a strong will or personal goal. I'm giving second place to Toga and her Transform quirk. I think Toga is one of the most dangerous characters in the story, because not only can she copy someone else's quirk by turning into them, she's shown herself capable of killing ruthlessly for her own motives. Unlike Twice, she has full control over her copied quirks, with the added bonus of a perfect disguise along with it. A perfect example is after Twice is killed, Toga disguises herself and gets among a group of heroes to stab attack them out of a desire for revenge. She's also very skilled with a knife in general, and can throw them with great accuracy. She has the determination to do whatever she needs to create a society where she can be herself. And the instability of following her emotions all together make her a force to reckon with. Number 1 goes to none other than the missing Todoroki Dabi. His quirk is cremation, unofficially named so after the man himself, since Dabi means cremation. It's a more powerful version of Endeavor's Hellfire, meaning it's immensely strong. In personality, he's focused and calculating, with his singular goal being to break his father. To do this, he wants to destroy his reputation, his family, which are Dabi's own family, making it all the more sadistic, and society as a whole. Because Endeavor is striving to make society better, as a pro-hero, Dabi wants to burn it to the ground. He doesn't care who he hurts or gets in the way, and he definitely isn't waiting around to let you have a fair fight. He states multiple times that he's only using the League to achieve his own goals, and that coldness, his motivation, along with his ridiculously powerful flame quirk, earn him the number 1 position. Honestly, I think we should all be terrified of Dabi. That wraps up my ranking of the League of Villains weakest to strongest. What would your ranking be? Do you disagree with any of my choices? Let me know in the comments and stick around for more My Hero Academia content and anime content. With that said, I'm Mystic Sage and I will catch you all next time. Before the video closes out, I just want to thank you so much for your support during this month of July. I'm uploading every day, and with all the different anime I'm covering, I know there's a little bit for everyone. Also, if you want a little more Mystic Sage, head on over to TikTok and check us out over there for more fun, bite-sized anime videos. I've also got an Amazon store where I sell tons of Pokemon and anime merch too, so check it out. For real this time though, thanks again for watching. I'm Mystic Sage, and I'll see you tomorrow with more amazing anime content.